This is a tale from my childhood that still sends shivers down my spine to this day. It was October, and my family had embarked on a vacation to a family resort nestled in the serene landscapes of Catskill, New York. While the resort seemed to be in the middle of nowhere, it attracted a fair number of families seeking refuge from the urban chaos. The sprawling resort grounds were enveloped by dense forests, offering a tranquil escape from the outside world. At the tender age of 8, I was a timid and reserved child, often shadowing my older brothers, Eric and Josh, who were closer in age. Being the third of 4 siblings, I typically followed their lead, especially in social settings. During our vacation, my older brothers were engrossed in their own activities, while my little brother Craig stuck close to our parents. Left to my own devices, I set out to explore the expansive resort grounds. Wandering along the winding cement pathways that crisscrossed the resort, I passed by families engaged in various outdoor activities, their laughter echoing through the crisp autumn air. Eventually, I found myself inside the activity hall building, where I stumbled upon the arcade my dad had mentioned. It was a bustling hub of activity, with rows of flashing lights and buzzing machines beckoning to me. Amidst the cacophony of sounds, my attention was drawn to a peculiar door tucked away in one corner of the room. Its square glass window was fogged up, obscuring the view of whatever lay beyond. Intrigued, I approached the door. My curiosity piqued. Peering through the cloudy glass, I was startled to see a humanoid figure standing on the other side, its form blurred and indistinct. For a moment I stood transfixed, my gaze locked on the mysterious figure. Was it a Halloween decoration? A prank, perhaps? Unable to discern the truth, I tore my eyes away and immersed myself in a game of pinball, hoping to shake off the unease that had settled in the pit of my stomach. Yet despite my best efforts, the image of the figure lingered in my mind, its presence casting a shadow over my thoughts. I found myself glancing over my shoulder repeatedly, my eyes drawn inexorably to the obscured figure behind the glass. Eventually, curiosity got the better of me, and I found myself standing before the door once more, my face pressed up against the fogged-up window. To my horror, the figure on the other side moved, its blurred features contorting into a twisted smile that sent shivers down my spine. It was no decoration. It was a real person watching me with unnerving intensity. With a mounting sense of dread, I stumbled backward, my heart pounding in my chest. Hastily, I made my way out of the arcade. The memory of the figure's sinister smile burned into my mind. As I retreated to the safety of our room, I couldn't shake the feeling of unease that had settled over me. When my parents returned later that evening, I recounted the unsettling encounter, my voice trembling as I described the eerie figure lurking behind the glass. That night, as we gathered for dinner in the resort's dining hall, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. My gaze darted nervously around the room, searching for any sign of the figure that had haunted my thoughts all day. Then I saw him. A man sitting alone at one of the nearby tables, his eyes fixed on me with an intensity that made my blood run cold. Despite the bustle of the dining hall, he seemed to stand out, a solitary figure in a sea of faces. As our eyes met, he smiled, a smile that sent a shiver down my spine. Panic seized me, and I turned to my parents, my voice barely above a whisper as I recounted the man's unsettling presence. My parents exchanged worried glances before my dad rose from his seat, his eyes scanning the room for any sign of the man. With a sense of relief, I watched as the man got up and left, his gaze lingering on me for a moment before he disappeared into the crowd. But the memory of that encounter lingered long after the man had gone. Years later, as an adult, I would come to realize the true extent of the danger I had unwittingly faced that day. The encounter at the arcade was just the beginning of a series of unsettling events that would leave me shaken to my core. But that's a story for another time, a tale of danger, obsession, and the darkness that lurks beneath the surface of our seemingly ordinary world. Embarking on my 23rd year, I never anticipated that it would be marred by a harrowing encounter with a relentless stalker. It all began innocently enough when I crossed paths with Alyssa, a 19-year-old whose striking presence on Instagram caught my attention. Summoning the courage to initiate contact, I slid into her DMs, half expecting my message to vanish into the digital ether among the myriad of notifications she likely received daily. To my surprise, she responded, sparking a connection that would soon veer into treacherous territory. In the nascent stages of our interaction, Alyssa's responsiveness seemed endearing, her attention a coveted validation of my own self-worth. Yet, as our conversations deepened and our encounters multiplied, subtle signs of possessiveness began to surface, foreshadowing the tumultuous path ahead. Seemingly innocuous gestures soon transformed into suffocating displays of affection, leaving me feeling trapped within the confines of her unwavering gaze. As I attempted to navigate the murky waters of our burgeoning relationship, Alyssa's grip tightened, her demands escalating in tandem with my attempts to distance myself. Despite my best efforts to preserve my autonomy, her relentless pursuit persisted, culminating in a torrent of accusatory messages and thinly veiled threats whenever my attention waned. Determined to reclaim my agency, I sought solace in the company of others, hoping to escape the suffocating grasp of Alyssa's unwelcome advances. Yet with each new connection forged, her jealousy only intensified, manifesting in a barrage of confrontational messages and unwarranted outbursts. Desperate for respite, I turned to Meg, a newfound acquaintance whose presence offered a fleeting reprieve from Alyssa's suffocating grip. Eager to savor our newfound connection, we embarked on a light-hearted outing to Dave and Buster's, hoping to lose ourselves in the simple pleasures of arcade games and laughter. However, our evening took a chilling turn when a series of ominous messages interrupted our merriment, casting a shadow of fear over our otherwise carefree escapade. Each text was accompanied by a candid photograph, capturing intimate moments shared between Meg and me, stolen surreptitiously by an unseen observer. Fearing for our safety, we attempted to shrug off the disturbing messages as a harmless prank, dismissing the looming sense of dread that threatened to engulf us. Yet, when a final message arrived containing a chilling image of my own residence bathed in the cold glow of moonlight, our illusions of safety shattered like fragile glass. Summoning every ounce of courage within me, I confronted the intruder outside my home, my trembling hands clutching the comforting weight of my firearm. To my astonishment, the perpetrator revealed himself to be Alyssa's brother, his misguided attempts to protect his sister culminating in a dangerous obsession that threatened the safety of those around her. In the aftermath of the ordeal, justice was served, and Alyssa's brother was swiftly apprehended by the authorities, his reign of terror brought to a decisive end. Though the scars of our encounter may linger, I take solace in the knowledge that I emerged from the darkness stronger and more resilient than before, determined to reclaim my autonomy and forge ahead into a brighter tomorrow. As a child, arcades held a special allure, serving as vibrant hubs of entertainment in a pre-smartphone era. Near my school, a particular arcade beckoned with promises of adventure and excitement, drawing my friends and me like moths to a flame. One fateful day, my friend Connor and I ventured there after school, eager to immerse ourselves in a world of pixelated thrills. The arcade, usually bustling with activity, lay eerily quiet that stormy afternoon, the absence of our peers amplifying the peculiar encounter that awaited us. Engrossed in a game of Street Fighter, we found ourselves under the watchful gaze of an older gentleman, his presence casting a shadow of unease over our youthful exuberance. Despite our attempts to dismiss his peculiar behavior as harmless banter, the man's unwavering scrutiny soon escalated into a discomforting spectacle, his incessant commentary punctuating the air like an unwanted intrusion. Unnerved by his unwelcome attention, Connor and I sought refuge in the anonymity of the arcade's other attractions, only to find ourselves ensnared in the man's unsettling orbit once more. His offer to sponsor our game of air hockey, though ostensibly benign, carried an undercurrent of unease, his demeanor betraying a disconcerting lack of social boundaries. As the game unfolded, his presence loomed like a dark cloud, his unwanted physical contact sending shivers down our spines and casting a pall over our once carefree afternoon. With growing trepidation, we resolved to cut short our arcade excursion, only to find ourselves pursued by the man's ominous presence as we made our hasty retreat through the rain-drenched streets. His persistent entreaties to accept a ride home sent chills down our spines, prompting us to hasten our steps in a desperate bid to evade his menacing pursuit. Arriving home at last, we sought refuge within the sanctuary of my front porch, our hearts racing as we recounted our harrowing ordeal to my incredulous mother. As the red spectre of the man's car vanished into the distance, my father's righteous fury spurred him into action, his determined stride carrying him towards the source of our torment. Though the man eluded capture that day, his menacing presence lingered like a spectre in our memories, a reminder of the dangers that lurked beyond the sanctuary of our childhood haunts. As the authorities were summoned and precautions taken, the arcade, once a bastion of joy and camaraderie, became tainted by the shadow of our traumatic encounter, a cautionary tale for generations to come. The incident left an indelible mark on our young minds, shaping our perception of safety and instilling a newfound wariness of strangers in our hearts.